Sometimes, your teachers and professors will tell you to analyze the composition of an artwork. Where do we start? Composition is about the arrangement of elements in an artwork. Are they arranged in an orderly way, or a chaotic way? Are they close together, or far apart? Are they static, or do they direct your eye in a certain way? This is what you're supposed to discuss when analyzing an artwork's composition. Here's a great 4-step template for you to follow. Step 1. Balanced or dynamic. Start with the overall look of the artwork. In your point of view, is the artwork calming and balanced? Or messy and dynamic? Or perhaps, somewhere in between? For example, in this Singaporean painting, the composition is balanced. Write that down as the first sentence of your paragraph. Next, give 2 evidences that make the composition a balanced one. Balance is achieved through the symmetrical placement of objects within the painting. If a vertical line is drawn in the middle of the artwork, you'd be able to see that some elements on the left balance with some elements on the right. For example, the diagonal wooden plank on the left of the artwork mirrors the diagonal river on the right. Similarly, the 2 village houses on the left background of the artwork mirror the 2 houses on the right. Here's an interesting one. Do you think that the villagers in the left foreground are mirroring any element on the right of the artwork? At first glance, it is not obvious. Upon closer inspection, however, the artist did balance the villagers on the left, with 3 clusters of villagers on the right, the 2 women feeding ducks, the 2 women squatting down with a child, and the trio of villagers doing river activities. Balance is achieved when the visual weight on the artwork's left balances the visual weight on the artwork's right. Just like on a seesaw, a large child is balanced by 3 small children. We call this asymmetrical balance. They're not exactly symmetrical in arrangement, but their visual weight is balanced. So, how do we write all of this down in a paragraph? It can look something like this. You may pause the video to read the paragraph. Step 2. Focal points. Now, find the focal point of the artwork. Which part of the artwork draws your attention first? To me, the focal point in this artwork is the village houses in the background. Write that down. Next, explain why it is the focal point of the artwork. For example, the village houses are painted larger than the villagers and the trees. Also, their walls are white, which contrast with the dark colors of the soil and trees. This makes them stand out in the artwork, thus drawing emphasis to them. Now that you have found one focal point, try to see if you can find other focal points as well. The river is another focal point, as it is highlighted in the title, and its light blue color contrasts with the dark soil. There are also many figures doing varying activities along the riverbank. These characteristics easily draw the viewer's attention to the river. Another focal point is the group of figures in the left foreground. They are large in size, and they are placed in the foreground, so they seem to be the closest to us, as though they can see us, the viewers. To make your analysis richer and more insightful, you can compare the focal points. For example, I'd ask myself, why did the artist create 3 focal points? Why not make the village houses bigger than the rest? Or the people bigger than the village houses? Perhaps, the artist wants us to view the houses, the river, and the people equally. These are the 3 key elements that make life by the river a harmonious and peaceful one. So how do we write all of this down in a paragraph? It can look something like this. Do pause the video to read the paragraph. Step 3. Visual movement. Visual movement is about how our eyes are guided around the artwork. Where do we see ourselves looking around the artwork? Do we look from left to right? Up to down? Or in a circular way? There's no right or wrong, as all of us view artworks differently. To me, I started looking at the village houses first, as it is a key focal point. Then, my eyes are guided to the river, as the river is another focal point, and it is also a long line. Lines can help guide our eyes around the painting. Like this line. Or these lines. So the river guides me from the background, where the village houses are placed, to the foreground, where the people are located. Then, my eyes move to the villagers in the left foreground, as they are another focal point. Finally, I'm directed back to the village houses via the wooden walkway, which is another line. Notice how the arrangement of focal points creates a circular visual movement, from the background, through the river, to the foreground, through the wooden plank, and back to the background. So how do we write all of this down in a paragraph? Well, it may look something like this. There are other ways of seeing the visual movement. You could say that the visual movement is from the foreground to the background, as the wooden plank and the river lead the viewer toward the center of the painting, due to their linear nature. Or, you could also say that the visual movement is from the background to the foreground, as the focal point is the village houses, followed by the villagers in the foreground. The linear nature of the river and the wooden planks directs the viewer's eyes from the background to the foreground, drawing attention to the village activities. Remember, there is no one right way of looking. What's important is how you explain what you see. At this juncture, you should have enough discussion points on composition. Step 1. Balance or dynamic. Step 2. Focal points. Step 3. Visual movement. But you can always go for more. Step 4. Proximity of elements. Elements, when placed together, show that they are related. How far or how close are the elements in the artwork? I noticed that the figures are always grouped together, and placed close to each other. Here, 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 and here. Write that down and explain why they are positioned together. Perhaps, clustering the figures together shows the spirit of togetherness, or the kampung spirit, that these villagers have when living together. They treasure collaboration and harmony, helping each other out with chores and enjoying each other's company. I also noticed that the trees are either overlapping the figures, or the village houses. This close proximity could also suggest that the villagers are living harmoniously with nature. They do not see man and nature as separate entities, but rather as equal symbiotic partners. They respect nature, and see themselves as part of the ecosystem, thus living up to the idea of life by the river. How do we write all of this down in a paragraph? It may look something like this. Please pause the video to read the paragraph. So, the next time you are tasked to discuss the composition of an artwork, use these 4 steps. Step 1. Balanced or dynamic. Is the artwork balanced, dynamic, or both? Step 2. Focal points. Which areas of the artwork draw your attention? Step 3. Visual movement. How are your eyes moving throughout the artwork? Finally, Step 4. Proximity of elements. Are the elements in the artwork close together, or far apart? Keep trying these 4 steps when you are analyzing any artwork, and you'll be surprised to learn about art in a whole new way. Like this video if you learned something from today, and subscribe to this channel if you want to see more. All the best for your art assignments.